This is everyday Austin. Signs of growth and progress, sure, but what comes with it is constant construction, detour sign, streets blocked with traffic cones and barricades. In 2017, there were 17,000 permits issued for contractors who wanted to shut down streets, block traffic, to, build stuff and then let the traffic flow again. The signs are a pain in the you-know-what to Austin drivers, but it now looks like the city of Austin has another problem with the inspectors. That's what this audit showed.
That some of our inspection was not being performed according to our expectations, and so we're going to address that.
There are just 5 right-of-way inspectors for the entire city.
What is a standard ratio for inspectors to permits? 5 to 3,000 on a daily basis does not seem like a manageable workload.
But the inefficiency found in the Austin Transportation Department may be scarier. Quote, they patrol throughout the day by self-selecting sites to review. You'd think the inspectors would be spending most of their time cracking down on the folks who don't pay for those expensive permits. But the audit says city departments and utility crews, they're the biggest violators. Quoting, unpermitted work is often unknown and undetected. The auditors use the word inconsistent to describe the inspectors' work habits, but we're a little meaner, so we'll use the L word, lazy.
We observe inspectors patrol the same areas repeatedly. Essentially, they were driving down the same street multiple times a week and not going out to new areas.
And that may be one of the reasons so many folks are complaining that it's the inspectors that are unnecessarily delaying projects, adding a cost that will eventually be passed on to the folks who rent space in those new buildings. But the old government inefficiency story isn't the only problem at Austin right-of-way. Behavior is too. And this guy, Eddie Flores, well, he wins the prize. Quoting, Eddie is still on a rampage, this email we now have read. But here's something troubling. It's missing from his city employment files. Folks have been complaining about Eddie Flores for 5 years. Look at this letter from 2014, accusing Flores of, quote, scare tactics. Look what Flores reportedly told the contractors, quote, since you are questioning my authority, I'll be shutting you down again. In 2016, Flores finally gets his hand slapped. Personnel records show Flores issued fees without authorization, didn't follow directions, and falsified his timesheet. Wait a second. You mean you don't get fired in Austin government for falsifying your timesheet? My employees know better. Dolce Vino Consulting has now documented 25 separate complaints filed against Mr. Flores. Most are missing from his personnel file. And this year, well, it's been a bonanza. In February 2019, 3 separate emails complained about Flores being rude and unprofessional. Quoting, it felt like we were being targeted. It felt like Eddie was playing makeup after coming back from his vacation, this one read. 1 month later, Division Manager Ryan Ward closed that complaint, quoting, my fear is it will resurface at some point in the future. That, Mr. Ward, was a good bet. Look at this email about Flores. He, quote, abruptly and aggressively started barking and screaming, this emailer complained. In April, the folks working on the expansion of the state capitol building joined the Flores chorus. Check out the email from Keith Hall, senior project manager of the Texas Facilities Commission, quoting, this is the 3rd incident with the same inspector that has inappropriately disrupted the utility relocation work and created potential delay and added cost to this project. Remember that, taxpayers, when you see the final bill for this capital work. Just a month later in May, Flores Supervisor Manny Kumar admitted to higher-ups, quote, we need to help our staff. He recommended training all the inspectors on conflict resolution, the art of partnerships. Who really needed the help? One guess. Quoting, Eddie Flores. We've been getting numerous complaints from contractors and stakeholders about Eddie's approach in dealing with them. Please help, he wrote. Well, Mr. Ward, I guess it's resurfaced again, hasn't it? You would think the right-of-way department would have cleaned up their act since that bad audit last year, but it sure doesn't look like it.
And when we find contractors that are in the right of way repeatedly, we have a 3 strikes rule.
What a pitch, 3 in a row. Strikeout number 6.
It may be 3 strikes in baseball, but when it comes to Austin City inspectors, it's more like 25.
You're out!